Good morning, everyone. Venom 3 The Last Dance review. I gotta be honest, the first two movies did not remotely thrill me at all. I thought the first one was okay. Second one, wasted time, wasted carnage, wasted Woody Harrelson. Hate the relationship between Venom and Eddie Brock. Way too comical now. So overall, I'm very disappointed with this franchise. But Venom 3, The Last Dance, there's no way this is over. Okay? If this movie makes $2 billion, do you think they're not going to make another Venom movie? And just like the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, this one is heavily alluding that they're going to die at the end. Either both of them or just Venom. So I think the title is just a cash grab. There's no way in hell we're not going to get any more Venom. Like I said, this thing makes $2 billion. Venom 4 is coming out. And you're telling me that we're not going to get Spider-Man and Venom? No chance in hell we're never going to get that. So let's get into this review and we'll discuss it later.
I am no.
Great way to start a movie, guys. Write-in Class 101. Do not start your movie off with the main villain announcing, I am Noel, I am this guy, and you're gonna hear my tragic backstory. This is written by adults. You're telling me they thought this was a great idea? Let's start the movie off with a monologue from our big bad, and he's just gonna dump all of his problems out on you. You're gonna know everything you need to know about this guy in the first, minute of this movie. I believe the term is show, don't tell.
God of the Void.
I am Null, God of the Void. Okay, so now we got his name, and now we got his title. Great job so far. What are we like? We're 15 seconds into this movie. We're 15 seconds into this movie, and I already hate it.
Long ago, when light invaded my kingdom.
And that's what we get, guys. We get his entire backstory. You know, like Thanos, his backstory was fleshed out after all these movies. Here is Null's backstory. He was betrayed by some symbiotes and imprisoned. And now he's butthurt about it. So he needs a codex. Don't really know what the hell that is. To get out of this prison. Obviously, Venom is gonna be this codex, right? Or something along the lines of Eddie Brock and Venom is gonna be what Null needs to get out of his prison. So as you can see right here, Null has some kind of ability to open up portals. So he can open up portals and send symbiotes through, but he's stuck on this throne. You know, he can't, no. He can't leave. But he could open up portals all across the world where all the symbiotes could go through. We're a minute 17 into this bitch. This thing's gonna be a bop. It's terrible so far. So then the movie cuts to Eddie at a bar, as we saw with No Way Home. How he's just chilling at the bar, and then the portal opens up, and he gets transported back to his own world. So now, of course, in typical Venom fashion, we need to have the overload of jokes. You know, good writing in the Venomverse, I see. Where now Venom, I guess he likes alcohol now, so he's like, hey, let's make a drink. So they start making a drink in comical fashion and smash all the glasses and blah, 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 blah. It's so bad. And the bartender's all confused, like, oh, because he sees the tentacles come out of Eddie Brock. He's like, oh my, what are those things? And then he looks at him and goes, I was born with them. Why would you say that? That's just... no. Why? That makes no sense. Why would you say that line? So then the news turns on, and this might be my own ignorance of not remembering what happened in, I guess, Venom 1 or 2. I have no idea, but this detective is apparently dead, and Eddie Brock is the reason why he's dead. But all the news reports say that, he's a fugitive now. He's on the run. We have to find this man. I don't remember who this detective is, and honestly, I don't care to even bother to look it up. So Eddie then realizes, wow, we can't go back to San Francisco, and I can't stay in Mexico for the rest of my life. This place sucks down here. But then they see it. They see a toy of the Statue of Liberty. And he's like, wait a second. I know a judge in New York that got me kicked out for some stuff that I had on him. I could blackmail him into clearing my name. No, the microphone didn't die. I'm trying to process that as I said it.
Maybe we could blackmail him, clear my name.
I wonder. Tom Hardy's a smart man. Tom Hardy is a very popular actor. He knows good movies. He knows bad movies. You're telling me Tom Hardy read this and said, perfect. This is genius. This is what Eddie Brock's gonna do. He's gonna go to New York. he's gonna go to New York to blackmail a judge into clearing his name for I think a murder of a detective in San Francisco, I think. This is what the people of Sony and Marvel are doing right now. This is their making. This thing's gonna flop. This thing, I saw right now, Rotten Tomatoes, it has like a 35% score on it. It has earned that. And we're 5 minutes into this thing. It might be the worst Venom movie, and you know what? The first two were terrible as it was. So they leave a tip for the bartender, and of course it has a little bit of Venom on it. Why? Why does it have a little bit of Venom on the coin? That doesn't make any sense. Venom doesn't normally just drop pieces of himself everywhere he goes. That wouldn't make... It would make more sense if the portal opened up and maybe Venom was trying to grab hold of something so he's not getting sucked in to the portal, and then maybe it closed and then a piece of him got dropped on it. That would make sense. But having the idea of, oh yeah, everywhere that Venom goes, he literally drops pieces of himself, get the hell out of here. This whole thing is convenience and garbage. And as they're leaving the bar, very, 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 very important, a random camera in the middle of bumfuck Mexico catches him. Look how dirty this camera is. This is going to be a major plot point of how they find Eddie Brock later on. So thankfully, because they're in Mexico, they hear a scream in the distance, and Venom's like, oh, I hear someone in danger, and I need fuel for the move. So, luckily, they're now gonna go fight crime, and Venom could eat them, and then, fill his stomach up and whatever. So they end up in, I guess, some kind of building with dogs in cages, maybe dogfighting or something like that, and then some Mexican thugs come out of nowhere and threaten Eddie. And the scene goes on forever, almost a minute and a half of just semi-little jokes here and there. And then something cool happened. I thought this was really cool in the trailer. The guy puts a blade to Eddie's skin, and Venom says, say when, as the guy slowly cuts his cheek, and Eddie says, when, and turns into Venom. Thought that was really cool in the trailer, but then what do they do right afterwards? Fill it with jokes. A fight scene filled with comical sequences, and I don't understand why they keep doing this. There is no reason for Eddie to be out of the Venom suit. He's doing so many things fighting these guys outside as Venom, and I don't understand why. Wouldn't you want to just have the symbiote suit over you? There's no reason for, oh, Eddie's hands are free so we could tie this chain. Just, Venom, can't you just kill everybody? So then the thugs are all strung up, all four of them, and Eddie does the we are, and Venom interrupts and goes, Venom! Yes, we are Venom! And then Eddie's like, oh, we have to work on that, and then Venom bites their heads off. Just, this whole movie so far, jokes and dumb plot conveniences, that's it. So then after Eddie and Venom release all the dogs and start walking down the street, and one of Null's massive symbiote monsters shows up. So these things, they can locate Venom in some capacity. They could sense where he is, right? So it shows up right where Eddie is. And they're right down the street. And for some odd reason, this thing doesn't know that he's down there, but knows this is where he was at. Then we cut to some secret organization that, of course, has cameras in in every orifice in the world. And of course, there is Eddie. They caught him on camera, on the dirty ass security camera in the middle of Bumble Screw, Mexico. And then we cut to the bartender at the bar where the coin is left, where the piece of Venom is. Apparently, I don't know, did a lot of time pass or no time at all pass at all? Because wouldn't you have picked up the coin by now? And the symbiote would have been on you? But oh no. In the nick of time, Mordo shows up. You know, the dude from Doctor Strange. And he asks the bartender, tell me about the man that was just here. So this really did just happen like 5 seconds ago. That they caught Eddie on camera coming out of this bar, and then they deployed a team of soldiers that got to Mexico in a split second, and then were able to ask the bartender, tell me about the man that was just here. How? How is the timing make any sense at all with this movie? Am I watching the wrong movie? If I'm wrong, please let me know. And then we cut to Keely that was in the show Ted Lasso. I forgot her name. But just like the beginning, just like the Null thing, we just get to see her entire backstory. So it cuts to her tragic backstory of she was hanging out with her brother on the beach and they were holding hands and she got struck by lightning and he died and she lived. That's her tragic backstory. They just blow through the character development in this. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They just wanted to pop this thing out as fast as humanly possible. So then we cut to super secret military base where the body of Patrick Mulligan, the dude that Eddie apparently killed, is dropped off at this facility. I don't know who this man is and I don't care. And Keely from Ted Lasso has to go through the most complicated hidden fortress in the history of forever. That's in a mountain and her car attaches to it down this massive elevator. I don't know. I couldn't tell if these are the good guys or the bad guys. This looks like a bad guy fortress. So then, just to continue the trend of telling, not showing, we explained what happened to Patrick Mulligan. He was left for dead and they injected him with a symbiote, and it saved his life. Then we run into a new main character scientist, but first, Mordo has to tell a joke. He points to a Christmas tree pin on this woman's jacket. It says, "What's your obsession with this?"
My mom made me this pen.
It's July.
It's like I don't know who wrote this. This must be the first draft of the first thing they've ever written in their entire life. It's so bad. So now Patrick Mulligan is alive and well. He's very confused of what's going on. But it makes me wonder, why is Eddie a fugitive in this matter? Why are they looking for him? If the guy is... What is the backstory here? What is the cover story? You couldn't just say this dude died and that was it? But no. You have to implicate Eddie Brock in his murder/disappearance? I guess, again, for plot purposes, because we have to get Eddie in a different part of the world right now. That is why they're doing this. So then they ask Patrick Mulligan, is the symbiote, is it there? Is it communicating with you? And then they kind of looks like they play some kind of noise so it can react to it. But I'm wondering, are you torturing this guy? I really don't understand what's the idea here. You saved his life to imprison him as a vessel for a symbiote? I don't know if I'm understanding this movie correctly, but why did you save this man just to inject him with this? If you already had the symbiote in something, couldn't you just put it in someone else, like a soldier or something, someone that was willing to take that sacrifice? No, you took a detective on the brink of death and injected him with this symbiote against his will, and are saying, hey, we saved you with this. It's a little bit cruel if you ask me, right? And as he's kind of explaining little details of what's going on with the symbiote universe, it makes sense. This is actually not terribly written dialogue between the scientist and Patrick Mulligan and symbiote, kind of being vague with some stuff, but it's certainly better than on-the-nose monologues explaining everything to the audience. At least if you're going to explain it with on-the-nose dialogue, do it to another character. Don't tell us. And why is he going on about this? It was already explained to us in the first 30 seconds of the movie. So then we cut over to a plane. This plane is in the air. This plane is at the normal altitude of what a plane does. I'm explaining this to you like this because of what happens next, and I want to make sure we're all clear of where this plane is in the sky. Because Eddie and Venom are on the outside of this plane stuck to it. It gets even weirder in a few seconds. And I explained this to you because then it cuts over to the symbiote. I think this is the one in Mexico. It uses its powers. I guess it's now, okay, Venom has to be taken over the form of Eddie in order for this, I think he's a Codex, the Codex beacon to go off. So that's why he couldn't see Venom Eddie before that, because the suit went back into Eddie, which it doesn't make sense. Why am I trying to give him a grain of salt here? It doesn't make any sense at all. But it sees the suit in Mexico and then jumps in the air in a single leap and bound onto the plane. It's so bad. This thing has the jumping ability to propel itself through the clouds and perfectly on this plane. But of course, it smacks into the plane, but doesn't rip it to absolute shreds. So the alien symbiote thing goes into the engine and gets ripped to pieces, and the engine starts to smoke and explode. And Venom says, "Oh, Eddie, I have to go inside of you. I can't be seen right now." So he jumps off the plane. Does the plane crash? I mean, this isn't like the movie Sully, where the birds ran into the engines and everything exploded and they have to emergency land this thing. Has there ever been an emergency landing in aircraft history where the problem started with an exploded engine thousands of feet above the ground? This plane is in the clouds. How much time do you have? Is the plane going to crash and everyone's going to die? Then we cut to Dr. Kurt Connors from the Amazing Spider-Man movie and his family on a hippie road trip with their dog. I don't know. As I'm watching this, here's my expectations for it while watching. I'm like, oh, cool, Mordo's in it. Maybe he's like a sorcerer and maybe he's pretending to be a government agent. Maybe he's going to use the power of Venom to infuse with his sorcerer abilities and take down Doctor Strange. No. None of that happens. But that's what I was thinking the entire time. And when I saw Kirk Connors, I'm like, okay, cool. In this universe, he's the Lizard, but he maybe has it under control like a Jekyll and Hyde or almost like a Venom thing. And then he's going to pop out as the Lizard later and save the day. And that's going to be awesome, right? Venom and the Lizard working together with Mordo fighting an army of symbiotes. Wouldn't that sound cool on paper? Because I'm reading about now, they're talking about, hey, Null's going to be a future villain. He's going to be a massive threat to the MCU in every universe. And we're not just going to one-off this dude. I'm like, oh, cool. So are we going to get a massive battle of these three Titans versus Null for the Battle of the Planet? No, we don't get any of that. Sorry. Hate to ruin your expectation, but we don't get any of that. So then as they're driving, they get rained on upon by the symbiote that got tore up in the jet engine. So these things are pretty damn durable, right? They could just be torn to shreds and dropped out of a plane and then just pop themselves back together and everything's all good. So then, of course, Eddie doesn't plummet to the ground. Venom becomes a parachute and they land safely, and then he immediately goes back into Eddie. So this is what I'm gathering here. Whenever Venom is inside of Eddie, he cannot be detected, right? When he's outside of Eddie, he could easily be detected by Null's forces. So you would think, by what I just said, that Venom would remain inside of Eddie for the rest of the movie, right? No. As they land, Eddie gives a speech about, oh, you threw me out of a plane with my fear of vertigo. And as he's doing that, Venom's head is popping out of his shoulder and he's looking around and he's curling up underneath him all scared and pops out of another hole in his chest and looks around. It's like, aren't you just lighting the beacons? Aren't you just telling him, hey, Gondor is in peril? Why are you outside of this, man? Go inside of him. So as they're on a walk, Venom tells Eddie, I am the Codex. Or I don't know if I heard that correctly because I don't know what's going on with Venom's voice. It is so... you need subtitles to watch this movie. So Venom explains what the Codex is. I'm going to try my absolute best here to convey this to you. When a symbiote bonds with a person, and then that person dies, and the symbiote brings them back, somehow their life forces are combined into what is known as the Codex. And by using this Codex, this is awful. This is so... I'm sorry to cut it off right here. This is such a stupid-ass movie. Why would anyone think this was a good idea? Back to what the Codex is. So then you use the Codex, and that opens up the cage which has kept Null imprisoned on this throne on this planet this entire time. So then Eddie's sitting there thinking like, oh, well, it's really great that I haven't died. And Venom's like, haha, that's great though. Remember that one time when you did die? Then it cut back to the first movie where Eddie got stabbed by Riot and died and Venom brought him back. So because he did that, thus that triggered the Codex matrix of it, I guess. And then they became the Codex. Something that we haven't heard of at all in these two other previous movies at all. Anything mentioned of a Codex. None of that was talked about. It's just, hey, I brought you back from the dead because I could do that shit. So Venom starts telling him, of course he's telling this to Eddie outside. I know he said in the monologue of it that a symbiote has to be in their true form in order for the other monsters to be able to see the Codex, but still, it looks stupid that he's looking around because realistically, the monster is blind to Eddie. So why would Venom be looking around? The monster doesn't know what Eddie looks like, right? So why would you want to out yourself? I mean, let's say there's a billion monsters out there. They're covering every corner of the world. Who do you think looks more suspicious and maybe hiding a Codex? A regular person walking down the street or a regular person with a symbiote head outside of his body looking around? Just, it seems like this movie, man, is this worse than Joker 2? I don't know. I have to think about that later on, but this is so horribly written. And as Venom's walking, he's explaining, okay, well, the Codex, it gets destroyed if one of us dies. So, again, 30 minutes into this movie, one of these dudes is going to die to protect the universe, because if Null gets his hands on this Codex, he's going to be able to be released from his prison and then just wage war on every planet. So then one of the coolest scenes in the trailer happens. They find a horse and Venom goes into the horse, which you would think, again, wouldn't that just be triggering the Codex and everything like that? But it's okay. It's all plot convenience. Apparently it doesn't do that. And they just ride off into the sunset. I don't really know what the urgency of anything is. You guys are just on the run. Just keep going. There's no rush to go anywhere. If anything, just take your time and figure out what the next plan is. It almost feels like that they have to rush and go somewhere for some odd reason. Then we cut down to the super secret military base and Mortal's talking to Keeley and he's like, hey, I don't believe these guys at all. They're not looking for a safe haven. They're looking for a new place to call home. And Keeley's like, you've been watching too many alien movies. Isn't that exactly what's going to happen? Do these people really think that these aliens are looking for a safe haven? No. Why would you think that? Why would you? Of course they're here to conquer. That's what they do. That's what Venom's entire species do. That's what Null's entire plan is. He said in the beginning, I'm going to conquer and destroy every world. He's not looking for a safe haven. Then we cut to a Mortal flashback. Apparently, they have so many symbiotes at the bottom of this military base. And these things have been around for a very long time. And it even shows, okay, a comet crashes and a bunch of symbiotes just run out of it as little puddles of goo. And then somehow Mordo and his people are there, ready to hunt them down and capture them. Like, this would actually make more sense of a movie if he was a sorcerer. Because how can he just get from point A to point B? If a meteorite crashes, do you have any idea how long it would take? Because they didn't just show up with scientists. They showed up with as military people with machine guns. Why would you think that this rock that crashed into the ground would house anything other than a rock? No. They showed up ready for a firefight. No, radiation suits or anything. They just showed up and oh, let's go hunt them down. You have no idea what's in this rock. So now we're led to believe that the symbiotes have been here for a very long time. So then we cut to Venom Horse taking a drink in the water. And then, who shows up? The military! The secret organization that's been hunting symbiotes. They're here. And they propel dudes out of a helicopter. And then we get some water river fight as, of course, Venom doesn't want to expose himself because then, of course, he's setting off the Codex beacon. So he kind of leaves Eddie to fend for himself to fight these military people in the water. But oh no. Tragedy strikes because as one of the military people is fumbling for their gun, Eddie accidentally shoots her. Sorry. You're going for your gun, and he grabbed the gun and turned it and tried to not get shot, and it goes off and kills this woman. Kind of accidental, right? But as this dramatic scene's happening, we get closer to a massive waterfall, and Venom decide, okay, I'm gonna jump into this frog for, of course, marketing and toy purposes. But then, oh no, I have to go save Eddie. So, in the beginning of this movie, again, remember the beginning of the movie where he's at the bar and he's using his tentacles to make the drinks and everything? He did that inside the body of Eddie, but just popping his tentacles out. So now he jumps from Venom Frog into Eddie into Venom pure form. Why couldn't you just jump into Eddie and then use your tentacles and grab the rocks? No. You did it so Eddie could yell, "Oh no, the Codex!" And Venom's like, "Oh, I can't let you die." And then we get the monster that's been run over and, that fell out of a plane and exploded. He looks over, is like, oh, there they are. And then, I don't know if this is a second helicopter, but Mordo's in this helicopter. How does he get, again, if he was a sorcerer and had a sling ring, this movie makes so much more sense. So much more sense. So then Big Monster is fighting the military people, and he's sucking them in his mouth and it's getting shot through his head or something like that. Some crazy grinding up scene. But so the military person that Eddie Brock killed accidentally becomes a major point later. How can you tell that Eddie shot this person underwater? It seems like you could have just assumed this person got killed by accidental fire, or the symbiote stabbed or something like that. But no. They somehow know that Eddie shot her. So then we cut back to Patrick Mulligan, who now becomes his pure symbiote form, and he just keeps dumping more info about Null and crap like that. So a lot of this info dumping he's doing, it's really weird how so much of this movie so far is written poorly, but the Patrick Mulligan scenes where he's kind of explaining what's going on, it's actually very well done. Almost like someone else took over these parts. But then, of course, the compliments end because then we cut back to Eddie walking through, I guess, the forest or whatever, and he comes across Kurt Connors and his family, and they're like, "Hey, you want a plate? Oh, let's sit down and have a long philosophical discussion about life, and don't worry, I'll give you a ride, random person that came out of the forest. Yeah, get in the back seat with my family." Like, what the is this movie? And they start singing songs. It's the worst ever. It's the worst anything you've ever seen. Venom's such a cool character, and this is what we're doing? Him in a backseat of some hippie van, singing tunes with children? But then, thankfully, they end up in Las Vegas, and he gets out of the van, and they start walking around, and Venom is curious and wants to see shows and stuff like that. So then, of course, in usual comic fashion, they try to go into a hotel to do some gambling and fun, but they're not allowed in because they're dressed like homeless people. So what does Eddie do? Oh, he knocks out some dude in a suit, and then puts his suit on, and then we get Eddie in Las Vegas playing slot machines with Venom just having the time of his life just pulling the lever. This is Venom 3. This is the third and final movie of the Venom trilogy. This is what they go with. It's an embarrassment. I don't understand how Sony is so bad at this. And then in the casino randomly is Mrs. Chen from the previous movies, which I kinda like her as a character, but honestly, I'd rather have a movie where Eddie and Venom are fighting an army of mutant things with Mordo and the Lizard. Not them gambling and then ballroom dancing with Mrs. Chen. Who is this audience for? And yes, Venom dances with Mrs. Chen, but it's not like the suit comes out of Eddie and dances with her and he's, this liquid gangly thing. No. He goes into Venom pure form with Eddie and sets off the Codex to dance with Mrs. Chen. This is what happens in the movie, guys. This is our Venom, guys. That comic book accurate Venom that we've grown to love for decades. That totally badass character that spawned an awesome amount of comic books and spin-offs and everything like that. We got him, folks. Venom dancing with Mrs. Chen. Again, like I said, activating the Codex so the alien monster that's looking for them could easily find them. He does that one giant leap and bound and end up in the casino. But no, don't worry though, because Venom goes back into Eddie in the nick of time, and then he just simply can't find them. But you know who can find them? The military people and Mordo show up, because Eddie was captured on a security camera, so obviously, without the power of a sling ring, the military is able to go to Las Vegas, mobilize quickly, know exactly where Eddie is, and pop in from the ceiling in the nick of time with all the symbiote guns they need to shoot him with the sound guns, so the suit comes out of Eddie and they just capture the suit and Eddie. So Eddie then wakes up in this military facility and for some reason has free roam of everything and runs into Patrick Mulligan across the glass, and he's like, hey, you're alive, and they start talking, and then Patrick Mulligan comes out and does more info dumping. The only reason this character is in the movie is to info dump. It's kind of like Arthur in the movie Inception, where his only job is to explain what Inception in the dream world is to the audience. But I'm so sorry. Before this scene happened, the Jingle Bell, the scientist with the Christmas tree, goes down to the room with all the different symbiotes and I guess finds the Venom one, and then we cut to the scene where Patrick Mulligan is talking to Eddie. And that's important because Mordo decides to shoot Eddie in the chest as revenge for killing one of his people. But thankfully, symbiote Venom comes out of the Christmas tree woman and goes into Eddie, and they pop the bullet out, saving Eddie's life. How does Mordo know that Eddie killed this person? And if there is some kind of, cameras on their suits or wherever, if I may have missed that little moment, wouldn't Mordo know that, this was accidental? Just why would that be a thing? And also, why would this woman give herself the suit? After hearing Patrick Mulligan talking about all these things, they think that the symbiotes are... Is there maybe a reason why the symbiotes are locked away to begin with this entire time? Maybe they're unstable and dangerous? But no. I'm the good, diverse scientist, so therefore I am justified. But since, again, now Venom Codex Venom Eddie Brock's suit has happened, now the monster knows exactly where they are. So without a sling ring and one leap and a bound, he ends up in the military facility, where now he's doing battle with all these military people. And then we get a clear ad for toy merchandise, where now all the symbiotes in there infect different soldiers, and now we have an army of Venoms. Just of different colors and shapes and sizes. Oh yeah, for some odd reason, Dr. Kurt Connors and his family drive to the military facility and try to help out. Yes, this father, parent, and dog owner decides, let's try to help this situation out and fight this alien battle with my children. Not just, hey, let's just get the hell out of here. I have no idea. Again, to this point, I'm still expecting him to go into lizard mode and we'd get an awesome fight sequence. But no. But as I was watching this scene, I'm wondering, how come they're fighting just one of them? Then a portal opens up and another one pops out. Like, wouldn't Null just open up all the portals and send every force he I mean, you know where the Codex is. It's right here. Wouldn't you send everything you have if you have the ability to open up portals? Maybe more than one might make sense? Yeah, I had to watch this scene again. There are only 2 of these monsters that are somehow fighting and beating all of the Venoms and the military with all their massive guns and symbiote killing weapons. But finally, they kill one of these things, but oh no. More portals start opening up and more of these monsters just keep pouring through. It is over. It's so over. The human race, it's beyond dunzos at this point. But don't worry, folks. Venom is gonna do the ultimate sacrifice move. He realizes that this is what I have to do. I need to save Eddie. I need to save planet. Save everything. So he goes into Codex mode and lures in all the monsters and jumps out of Eddie. And then, using the power of friendship, is able to use his tentacles and ensnare all of the monsters at the exact same time and hold them with the grip of friendship as he walks to this chemical thing, this shower that has, of course, super acid in it that can melt the symbiote Venom as he's holding all of these monsters in it. And as that's happening, an Oppenheimer explosion happens that rips through this entire place. But luckily, Keely from Ted Lasso has a symbiote that she opens up to become Scream and then just grab people and save the day. I don't know why. When I heard she was going to be Scream, I'm like, is she going to be the main villain? No. She's Scream for like half a second, and that's it. And then we cut to the next scene of Eddie waking up in a hospital bed with some military general saying, well, you know, the United States, we appreciate everything that you've done. And then just kind of walks out, and after telling him what a great job he did, and if you tell anyone about this, we'll make sure you spend the rest of your life in a prison. So then we have that song, Thanks for the Memories, I think it is, with a montage of Eddie and Venom just doing things. And honestly, I didn't feel a single solitary thing watching this, because it's almost like watching Batman versus Superman and Clark dies at the end. I'm like, he's clearly going to come back. And as Eddie's looking over at the Statue of Liberty in the worst city in the world, New York City, he says, I won't forget you, buddy. Really? You're telling me that you're not going to forget the alien that you met and lived with for a little bit? I'm pretty sure it's not like remembering my first friend from preschool and then I've never seen him again. I'm pretty sure you'll remember an alien symbiote that bonded with you and was your roommate for a little bit. And then in usual Marvel fashion, we got an after credits scene where Null's sitting in a chair and he's so mad. He's like, oh, I'm going to get this planet if it's the last thing I do. Or some comic book crap like that. And that's Venom 3. What an absolute disappointment of a movie. Oh my, I can't imagine. I'm so curious. I want to see a documentary of how the script was formed. Where they said, you know what would be really great? You know what fans really want to see? Venom playing slot machines and dancing with Mrs. Chang and just doing nothing of value. And hanging out with Kirk Connors, and you know what? We're going to put Mordo in it. This movie was garbage. I'm trying to think, is this worse than Joker 2? I don't know. It's equally as disappointing because, like I said, I didn't really like the first two Venom movies. I thought they were going to knock this out of the park with action. Sure, the trailer wasn't that great and it was filled with too many jokes. I really went into this movie thinking, you know what? They might actually get it right this time. They might go full Venom. We might get a full action movie, really, really gory and gritty and stuff like that. And I really feel the emotion because obviously it's called The Last Dance. So we know one of them, probably Venom, is going to die. I felt, not because I know Venom's going to show up. I'd like to see him fight Andrew Garfield. I saw that they were talking to Tom Hardy about like, oh, would you ever come back? And he's saying that he wants to be in the movie with Tom Holland. I think, no. Be in it with Andrew Garfield. That is $1 billion movie. I don't care about Spider-Twink. Just stay away from Spider-Twink entirely. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So that's my review of Venom: The Last Dance. Man, I'm glad it's over. As someone that liked the Venom comic books and really liked the backstory of him throughout all these different renditions, this is the worst of them all. This franchise did nothing right. I really hate that every movie he's fighting symbiotes. Like, you're telling me this dude had no other villains from the comic books? No other Spider-Man characters you could have brought in or mashed together and made him into some kind of, I don't know, a superhuman force that's going to take down Venom or something? You could have crammed all these B and C villains into this movie and said, wow, we could possibly make them cool. Just like what we did with Guardians of the Galaxy. Take someone that no one's ever cared about and make them cool. No. We're going to get... And also, I think Andy Serkis is no. Why would you waste this character? And they're talking about, yeah, no, it's just the beginning. It's over. It's over. I don't care about no. You have started this character off by monologuing. He's a dude in a chair. This movie did nothing right. This was an absolute just waste of 1 hour and 33 minutes. So no. Geez, 0 out of 10. Terrible movie. I'm really, I gotta do a review of what's the worst movie I've seen this year. This, Joker, Borderlands, who knows? But let me know what you guys think about that.
He is coming to take the light, a creature